Hello, ESL teachers. Hey, check out this English conversation lesson. It's for teens and adults at the upper beginner to the pre-intermediate level. And the topic of the lesson is called What Makes Great Restaurant Service? So the way that lesson is designed is that it comes in three parts. The first part is to teach your students some key vocabulary. And there are usually like 6 or 7 vocabulary new words for the students to learn. Example here is the word respectful. What does that mean? And here it shows a definition of it. You don't need to get the student to read it, but you can explain it by giving some examples. And here's a picture, right, of a teacher, giving a class to the students, and the students listen to her respectfully. So here, there's a sample sentence. You can get your student to read it and pay attention to their grammar and their pronunciation. And you can share your experience, right? Ask your student, what do you think is considered respectful, right? And this is how you start talking and breaking and to start breaking the ice. Another example is the word hospitality. What does that mean? And here is another sample sentence. Another one that I have, for example, is called memorable, right? What does it mean to be memorable? And sample sentence of a family vacation, it can be memorable. After you get the student to learn the vocabulary, comes part 2 of the lesson, which is to have the student read a short article. The article is a short one and is broken down into a few pages so that it's easier for the eye and it's good for online teaching. So each page has maybe like 2 to 3 or maybe 3 to 4 sentences. So it's keep it short, and you can get the student to read it. And here, for example, it starts off by saying that, in many countries, around the world, restaurants or countries have their own customs and traditions, but they all want to, they all have one common goal, is to make customers feel like, they're welcome and comfortable when they come and dine at your restaurant. And then here are some examples. For example, in Korea, many students, many restaurants, they serve like small side dishes for free, right, before the main course. And I love these side dishes. They're delicious. They're small, but they're tasty. And you can ask your student, like, have you ever been to a Korean restaurant? And do you like these little side dishes? Which one is your favorite? And I tell them my favorite is the kimchi, right? And then here is Brazilian restaurants. And a lot of the Brazilian restaurants, they bring, like, especially the Brazilian steakhouses, they have a waiter walking around with a large skewer of like these grilled meat, right? And they would just slice it, at your table until you tell them that, oh yeah, that's good enough, right? That's good, yeah, so I have your student and you share their experience, right? Have they ever been to a Brazilian restaurant? How did they find it, etc.? And then after you after the student finish reading the article, then comes part 3, which is the discussion activity. And I have at like 8 or 9 of these questions already made for you, so that it saves you, the teacher, the time from having to come up with your own questions to ask the students. And but of course, if you do have your own questions that you want to ask, by all means, bring it up. So example here, what is the the best and worst restaurant service you have ever received, and get the student talking, talk about it, explain what happened, right? You can also talk about your experience. Another example, have you ever received free food or drinks at a restaurant? And if so, what happened? And I mentioned an example of this one place called Olive Garden, where they used to serve like unlimited salad and unlimited bread, I believe. Yeah. So talk about that, right? And then last one, an example here, have you ever waited a long time for your food? And if so, how did you feel? Etc. So, these are just sample slides. I do have a lot more, right? Because my lesson is over 30 pages long. And as you're talking to the student, try not to overcorrect them. Let them talk. Let them finish what they have to say before you jump in to correct them. I would usually wait for at least have them, say at least 5 to 6 sentences before I give them the correction. And I find that with a lot of the ESL students, they do get confused with the verb conjugates. Example, like he, right? He eats, not he eat. Okay, so pay attention to these things. And also, they do get confused with the verb tenses. Like, for example, yesterday I go, right, to school. If it's yesterday, it really should be I went to school, right? Or another example is like, I will go to school every day, which is not true. It's I go to school every day. And also pay attention to their intonation, right? A lot of the times with ESL students, when they read a question or when they say a question, they don't raise their tone. Really they should. So, correct their intonation as well, and also their pronunciation. I find that a lot of the students, they do have problem pronouncing the th versus the d, right? So, get them practice on that. So, yeah, so check out my store. My store is called the Speak Up English Talk Resources, and I'm over at the Teachers Pay Teachers website. And I do sell individual lessons, and also they come in packages. All right, bye.